Breaking State with Gaslighters. Our new choosing your own emotions trick works wonders with this. Headed to Allentown. It's a place that has a notorious reputation for taking a long time, and I want to go camping when I get back. So we'll see how this goes. I recently bumped into this video by Robert Zink, and his description sounded a lot like people I've seen in my life, and you've probably seen in your life. Avoidance. And we've talked about the avoidant, anxious avoidant trap. And Robert's advice is good, and our new trick of choosing our own emotions is dynamite. There's a kind of energy flow that happens in relationships, whether friendships or romantic relationships or in a family, but it especially happens in romantic relationships where one person derives affirmation or pleasure or power or, I don't know, good juju from withholding from someone else.
You see, in the beginning, they were the pursuer. They were chasing you. You were special. You were unique. And they drew you into their world, and you fell in love. Now, listen to me very closely. What happens is the person who has lost interest in the relationship is empowered. They are lifted up. They are fulfilled in some strange, odd way by your continued wanting, by your continued needing, by your continued obsessing. I cannot explain it to you, but somehow you are psychically filling them with your energy. They're still getting from you what they want. In NLP, we say that there's a solution to this. It's called breaking state. Breaking state means we change the energy radically and drastically. And by doing that, we shock this person. All of a sudden, they are shocked because their energy field is rocked. And they go, what the hell? They're not chasing me. They're not psychically obsessing over me. They're not wanting me. They're not needing me. They're having fun. They're enjoying life. And it's at that moment that they are now in this state of need and want for you. I've seen this happen thousands of times. And the only thing that will sabotage it is that little thought in your head that says, well, what if they don't? What if they don't come after me? What if they don't call me? What if they don't text me? What if they don't think about me? But you see, that thought is part of the old thinking pattern of obsession, needing, wanting, fearing, all of that. It's part of the old pattern. And that fills them up. That energetically, vibrationally, and psychically, in some strange, perverted kind of way, fills them up and gives them what they need from you. You have to break state. And the way you do that is by focusing on your own journey. Your life is so essential because now all of a sudden you're not filling them up. Okay? You're not sending that low vibrational juice and they're not getting filled up. They feel like, wow, what happened? They were obsessing over me and now they are happy and on their own journey. And that makes them curious. That makes them wonder. And that makes them hungry to know more about you.
When one person derives pleasure from feeling the other person's obsession, neediness, this kind of relationship hurts both people. And to be non-toxic, you'd think, well, it's obvious that the person who gets their jollies from leaning back and letting the other person do all the work, in the past we've called that the Avoidant Style. That's a book that I was talking about earlier. And I don't know if it's always on purpose, but it feels yucky. And it's obvious to me that that's toxic. But what happens to the other person is codependency. The other person is enabling that. So it's toxic for the other person to do that. And that's the person I want to address now. The person who allows the avoidant personality to dictate the emotions that you're allowed to feel. Because it's like pushing your buttons. If somebody else leans back, somebody you care about, and they become uninterested, if they say, I'm not feeling it anymore, I'm just not as excited about this anymore, and they leave you, or they don't leave you, and sometimes they won't leave you because they love that feeling where you are sending them psychic energy of desperation. And in the friend zone, if somebody has you in their orbit, some narcissist has you in their orbit, what they get out of it is a lot. They get your attention. That's what they want. And you get nothing. You don't get the affirmation, the respect. However, whatever they do that would make you feel that, it's just a bad energy flow. So for you, the anxious one, the one who, and a secure person can still feel anxious when someone they've invested in goes cold on them, ghosts them, or just turns away, whether it's a long-term or a short-term relationship. That person who becomes anxious is being toxic to themselves. They're giving themselves a diet of emotions that are harmful. So instead of changing the circumstance in order to feel better, you can just change your emotions and stop sending that psychic energy to the avoidant person. You'll be much less toxic. You'll be much happier. It's a big effing deal because this is so common, this anxious avoidant trap in relationships. And I've watched this lots. And the reason I bring it up again is because this power I'm discovering of feeling whatever emotions I want to feel, rather than changing all the circumstances or even the thinking about the circumstances, but just going right to the emotions and changing them. It's magic. I don't think it's going to wear off. I think this is just going to keep being a life-changing discovery. And I'm so grateful that I've discovered it. As an example of that, I was on Highway 78, and I was over in the lane that gets off at Highway 100 northbound. That was an exit-only lane that was going to run out. I was in there because I thought I was going on 100, and it turns out I needed to go a little bit farther and then go on Highway 100 southbound. So I turned on my signal. I had plenty of room. A truck was coming up behind me quickly, but he was way behind me still. So I got into the other lane in time to then make the next exit. And this guy, instead of just coming in behind me, because the exit was coming right up, and it turns out he was going to get off at the same exit, he blew by me and then cut over right in front of me, like cars do, right at the exit. And I didn't have to slam on my brakes, but I had to slow down. And I just wondered, why couldn't he wait a little while? Because we weren't going to continue together on Highway 100 if he didn't want to follow me. He was just going to a local warehouse at that exit. So he turned at the light right in front of me as soon as he got off the exit. So dude, why be like that? Why act like that? Why be in such a hurry and then cut someone off? And the first emotions that came to me were, man, I would just love to punch his face. And I just was hoping there was some way he could get stopped for a while at a light in front of me so I could just go punch his face. And I was thinking, let's see if I can do this new thing, this new trick, this life-changing trick where I can choose a different emotion. I don't have to automatically be in that emotion where I have to react with anger when somebody cuts me off. I don't have to, right? I've been saying this. I've never tried it in this setting.
At the roundabout, continue straight.
So let me try it. And I tried it, and it was amazing. And those feelings are pretty intense in me when they come. It doesn't feel, at least it hasn't felt, like I have a choice. And so that was a good test. And right away, I didn't have to work my way out of it. Just right away, it was like a switch I could flip. And I wasn't angry. I didn't have to explain to myself why I shouldn't be angry and why this was okay that this guy did this. I didn't have to rationalize or justify my emotions. I just said, no, I'm going to skip all that. I'm going to circumvent that whole process and just choose a different emotion. And that is the key. So I'm looking for every opportunity now to disarm my push buttons, to just, and maybe even have a big master button that I can push that just overrides every emotion as soon as I decide I don't want it. And I guess that would be the bliss button. I would just choose bliss as like the default emotion. Bliss is the default emotion. I'll just have that bliss button. I'll just push it, and that's how I'll feel. Not neutral, not the absence of annoyed, but like I just had chocolate and coffee together, like maybe a chocolate covered coffee bean, and that's bliss. So that's, I don't actually have to have those. I can just have those in my head, and then that's the bliss button, and I can go from violence to bliss in the push of a button. Now when we go back to the initial topic with the gaslighters, with the sociopaths who figure out that they like all the energy they can suck out of you once they withdraw, once they pull back and let you struggle and let you obsess about them and send them psychic energy of attention and neediness, we can disarm them. We can push the button and we can choose different emotions than they intend for us. And I've talked about this before. When they can't choose our emotions for us, it causes them to freak out. It's funny because it doesn't always cause them to leave. Sometimes they pull in closer and they become needy. They become anxious. And that is better. If they can learn how to be secure, that's good. And it isn't your job to make them secure. So if they are going to derive pleasure and juju from exploiting you, milking your obsession over them because they've pulled back, you don't need to feed that. You don't need to compensate for it. You don't owe them anything. It's on them. It's up to them to figure out how not to be that way. You can get a restraining order if you want to. You can just cut them out of your life once you know they're like that. And once you choose the emotions of, we were talking about crass confident, relaxed, assured, strong, steady, or any other good letters you can think of. If you choose those emotions, you can substitute that for the bliss button if you want. You will just be happier and stronger, just like that. And choosing those crass emotions will make you bulletproof going forward, and future avoidant people won't be able to get you to respond the way you've always responded. You don't have to rework your thinking. You don't have to talk yourself into it. You just choose different emotions in the moment, every time. And you'll be amazed at what happens. And as always, I'm talking to myself. I'm probably one of the few people who watch the channel, but I get a lot out of hearing these words. So if you do too, that's great. But even if no one else is listening, this stuff really helps me. For me, the indicator that I'm on the right track always is the reaction of the voices in my head or the other psychopaths in my life that I still allow in my life. I understand from their reaction that I'm doing it right. When I don't get pushback from them, I'm probably not doing it right. And for a lot of people, that pushback is what has kept them hemmed in, kept them in the sheep pen. So if you are breaking out and then everything around you starts to become disrupted, and your circumstances become disrupted, and the way other people relate to you is disrupted, you might think, oh, I'm not doing it right. I'm not the kind of person who likes confrontation. I'm not the kind of person who likes turmoil. But that tells you that you're rewiring yourself in a good way. That turmoil is the key. That's what you want to see. So go into that storm, go into that turmoil, and be grateful for it. Be glad that you're in it, and then you'll find that those habits you're forming that cause people around you to lose their shit are going to make your life so much better. So smile every time someone loses their shit because of you, because you are just leveling up. You are choosing your own emotions. You are becoming your own person. You're not a codependent baby anymore. And that's worth the turmoil. And you know, with that turmoil, that also helps you become stronger. As you're confident and relaxed in the face of that turmoil, then you're really sure that you can do this. When you're calm under pressure, then you're really calm. Spin day or no spin day? That is the question. It's a spin day! Definitely a spin day.
In 3/4 of a mile, arrive at home, on the right.